Hi, I'm Kayla, and today we're going to be assembling the AVIGO Mountain Ridge 26-inch mountain bike. Before we get started, you'll need a few tools: a 6mm Allen key wrench, an adjustable wrench, one or two 15mm wrenches, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a standard Schrader-type tire pump. Scissors or a box cutter may also be helpful. Open the box and check that all parts are present. You can check against the list in the assembly manual. If any parts are missing or damaged, or if you have any trouble with the assembly, don't return to the store. Call Dynacraft at 1-800-551-0032. We strongly recommend reading the manual or watching this video all the way through before beginning. If you aren't comfortable with the assembly, you should bring your new ride to your local bike shop to have a qualified mechanic put it together for you. In any event, you need to read the entire owner's manual that came with the bike before you ride or let anyone else ride it. This video is not a substitute for the manual, which contains very important information for the safe use of your new bike. As we assemble the bike, it's a good idea to place a little white grease, oil, or anti-seize compound on the seat post, stem, and thread of the bolts to prevent rusting. Got your tools? Let's get started. You'll see that the frame, handlebars, front wheel, and other components are attached with zip ties. Lift everything out in one piece and set it down with the chain facing upwards. Cut the zip ties and remove any padding or packaging. Let's start with the pedals. Remember the old saying, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? Well, for bicycle pedals, that's only half true. Fortunately, the side that turns right is on the right. The left pedal is reverse threaded, so make sure you choose the correct pedal for each side. A red sticker should indicate the right side, and a green sticker is for the left. Place the pedal into the crank and use your fingers to get it started. Threading it can be tricky, so make sure to do it correctly. Regardless of which side you're working on, the top of the thread will rotate towards the front of the bike to tighten the bolts. Once you've finger tightened the pedals, use your 15mm wrench to snug them down. They are properly tightened when the pedal spindle, which is the axle that the pedal platform spins around, begins to bite into the metal on the crank. Your bike has a quick release seat post, so installing the saddle is very easy. Just add a little white grease inside the seat tube and slide the post into the seat tube. Estimate the placement while making sure the minimum insertion mark is hidden, and tighten the quick release lever. Rotating it clockwise with the lever open will tighten the clamp, and you lock it into place with the lever. It should take some effort to close it, but if you have to force it, loosen the lever one rotation. We will set this part up for you later. Next, align the fork. Rotate it, making sure the fork is pointing in the right direction, with the fork blades facing forward and the brake caliper facing the rear wheel. Next, take a look at the handlebar assembly, which already has brake levers and shifters installed. Remove the plastic protector on the bottom of the stem and add a little white grease inside the steerer tube. Lift the handlebar assembly to the steerer tube, making sure that this wedge is loose. Slide the stem down into the steerer tube, making sure any cables track smoothly along either side. Check for the minimum insertion mark. For safe riding, the minimum insertion mark should never be showing. Align the stem by looking down at the fork. Use a 6mm Allen wrench to fasten it in place. Again, we will set this up later. Now we'll install the front wheel. The brake disc is already mounted on the hub, and it should be oriented to the left. Check the tire sidewall for the correct direction of rotation. The symbol will generally look like this arrow. To install the front wheel, start by loosening the axle nuts on both sides of the wheel. Stand on the left side of the bike and hold it with one hand. Place the wheel on the ground and set the fork onto the gaps between the hub and retaining washers. If there isn't enough room, just open the nuts a little farther. Take care of the brake disc as you install the wheel. It has to slide smoothly into its caliper. Incorrect or careless installation could damage it. Install the two retaining washers with the raised lip pointed towards the fork and insert the tabs into the small hole in the fork blade. Use your fingers to tighten the wheel nuts evenly. We want the wheel to be in the middle of the fork. If it's not even, adjust the placement with the wheel nuts by loosening and tightening either side. Use your 15mm wrench to tighten the wheel. Here's where the second wrench is helpful. Now we need to check to make sure everything is tight. Standing in front of the bike, grab the wheel between your knees and try to move the handlebar from side to side. It should not move. If it does, tighten the stem a little more until it's secure. At this point, we need to install the rear derailleur guard. Using the Phillips screwdriver, remove the 2 screws near the rear axle. Place the derailleur guard over these 2 holes and reinstall the screws. Now it's time to pump up the tires. Check the sidewall of the tires for the correct inflation range, which will be a number followed by PSI. Our bike is built, but it's not time to ride yet. Before hopping on, we need to set up the bike for your body. Let's start with the seat. Standing to the left of the bike, open the quick release, then raise or lower the saddle so that it's just below your hips, making sure the minimum insertion mark remains hidden. Tighten it, then hop on to see how it feels. At the bottom of your pedal stroke, your knee should have a slight bend in it. Some people may prefer a somewhat lower seat height. The saddle should also always be parallel with the ground. Next, adjust the handlebar height by loosening the Allen bolt at the top of the stem and slide it up and down. Take note of the minimum insertion mark and make sure to check that the stem connection is properly tightened, as we did earlier. Finally, we'll set up the handlebar rotation. Your bicycle comes with these parts already installed, generally at an angle that is acceptable to a wide range of people. If you can reach your brake levers and shifters comfortably, and you don't feel as if you're hunched over or straining at the wrists, you should be good to go after tightening up the bolts. If not, follow these steps. Using an Allen wrench, loosen but do not remove the bolt holding the handlebar to the stem. Rotate the handlebar forward or backward until you're at the right spot. It may take some trial and error to find the most comfortable spot. Be certain that the bar remains equal on either side. Now retighten the bolt. Make sure that the brake levers are adjusted to a proper angle for you. The brake lever can be adjusted by loosening the bolt here and rotating the lever into the desired position. Once the lever is positioned where you need it, retighten the bolt. Then check that the lever is tight. It should not move on the handlebar when tightened properly. Great, we're set up. Now we need to make sure everything is working properly. Your bike may require some adjustments and tuning from a professional bike mechanic. Holding first the front, then the rear wheel off the ground, spin the wheel. Look through the frame. If a wheel is wobbling, the wheel may be out of true. That can be caused by uneven spoke tightness or some damage that may have occurred. In that case, you should go to a bike shop for assistance. Next, let's check the front brake. Spin the front wheel while looking through the brake pads at the disc. They should not be rubbing the disc, and the disc should not wobble. If you see any of these symptoms, bring your bike to a mechanic to have it adjusted. Disc brakes are very powerful, but they do need to wear in, just like on a car. First, clean the disc with alcohol before riding. It's been treated with an anti-corrosion oil for shipping that needs to be cleaned off. You only need to do this once for each brake. To break in the components, just gently ride for the first 13 miles or about 50 applications, and be aware that they may not be operating at maximum power. Over time, they will improve until they are fully bedded in. Next, we'll check the rear brake. Holding the rear wheel off the ground, spin it. Give the brake handle a squeeze. The pads should be evenly spaced on either side of the rim, and they should contact it simultaneously, stopping the wheel so that it cannot be rotated with the brake engaged. If not, check the installation of the wheel. If your wheel is even, you will need to adjust the brake caliper. If one pad is closer to the rim than the other, use a Phillips head screwdriver to screw in the adjustment screw on the side that's closer. Squeeze the brake lever several times and recheck the spacing. Now let's check the shifters. If you don't have a bike stand, it helps to have a friend assist you. Holding the rear of the bike off of the ground, use your left hand to pedal slowly. While you're doing that, shift through the gears with your right hand. The bike should shift smoothly and stay in gear without any extra noise. If not, you'll need to adjust the shifters, cable, or derailleurs. Again, see your manual or have a qualified bike shop take care of it for you. Before your first ride, it's a good idea to go over all the nuts and bolts, even those you didn't work on for this installation. Make sure they are snug, but don't over-tighten. You should also lubricate the chain using a lube specifically made for bicycles. Most other common oils will not provide the required lubrication. As you use your bike, never ignore unusual sounds and mechanical difficulties, as they can lead to loss of control, and never neglect proper maintenance and tire inflation. Check your tires before every ride, and of course, always wear a helmet. So that's how we assemble your Dynacraft AVIGO Mountain Ridge mountain bike. Now get out there, be safe, and have some fun.